Hi everyone, I'm Hoodie Angel Brandon, and welcome to another Fire Emblem Heroes unit build showcase. Today, at long last, we are here to build Nils, the Wandering Star. I've been looking forward to this quite a bit, and I'm excited to finally have my first +10 dancer. So this is Halloween Nils, however, honestly, his outfit reminds me more of a winter unit than anything. Honestly, looks like Ninian is taking him to see the Nutcracker or something, but anyway, very excited for it. He's got very cute art. Even over here on the special, the ghosts, which is the most Halloween looking thing on here, are also very cute. Look at them with their little tongues sticking out. He's so cute. But yes, Nils is one of my favorite characters from Blazing Blade. So happy to have a version of him that we can +10, and yeah, just finally have a dancer. Only several years into Faye's lifespan, I'm finally building a dancer, so that'll be fun. We are building him as what I have decided to dub him as a Disrupt Dragon Dancer. And so he is just going to focus on kind of supporting the team by, in addition to dancing, kind of disrupting the foe's options. Not really a debuffer, but someone who sabotages the enemy in other ways, which you'll see what I mean by that. Hopefully it'll make more sense once we get to the actual build. Speaking of, I think we've waited long enough and we are ready to begin. So, first, before we can get our good boy some treats, we have to come do some shopping with Divine Codes. We're going to pick up the copy from the limited code shop, which is the main reason we waited so long on him, is just to get this extra copy, because his fodder doesn't really have anything that I desperately need at the moment. So I wanted to just get this copy with the codes. And while we're doing some shopping, we're also going to pick up Pirate Nasala from the Divine Codes. This was the other thing I was really waiting for, and then I ended up getting way more codes than I expected, so we got him no problems. And now we have to redeem our grails to get the rest of his copies. We can just consider these grails to be full of special soda for the boy. A delicious, refreshing treat for our good boy. This is like the Baby Boy Bakery, and we need about a dozen of these. So we will just go ahead and grab all those copies. But yes, I waited a long time because none of the accessible dancers were characters that I really was super interested in. There were some that kind of had my eye, but none of them felt like characters I was so excited for that I was like, oh yes, this will be my first dancer. You know? And one last copy. And there we go, that should be all of them. Not quite a full dozen, but pretty close. So real quick, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 copies, and then we already have 2 combat manuals, so that will put us at 10. Let's go ahead and just promote all these. And there we go. Just wanted to make sure I actually counted those correctly. I am notoriously bad at counting. I still have that extra Kaze I promoted on accident. But we are ready to +10 the boy. Now, as a dancer, does he really need merges? No, not especially. But I have come up with a build that will hopefully take advantage of those stats, and he does actually have a surprisingly good stat line. If I wasn't so dedicated to the idea of running him as a pure support, I could definitely gear him as a more offensive support unit and have him try and do some tanking and stuff, but I really just wanted to lean really hard into his support niche. and get as much utility out of him as possible. But a more offensive build is definitely an option in the future. Yeah, as fun as it is to see bonkers numbers off of, say, Geralt or Legendary Byleth, at heart, I'm still a support and utility player, and that's where most of my interest really lies. Here, Genshin, even in Splatoon, my top weapons are Enzap and Splattershot Jr. Not really flashy or the best at getting KOs, but boy, they can support. And so that's really what I'm excited about here, is just building another fun support unit that'll be pretty different from anything else I have at the moment. And with that, the good boy is plus 10. For a demote dancer, his stats at plus 10 are actually somewhat respectable. Again, you really could lean into a more offense niche with him, but we're going to go pure support. But we are not done with his stats yet. We still have many more treats for this good boy. And to start, we are going to give him some candied dragon flowers, bump up his stats even higher. And we are also going to give him some trait fruits. I debated for a long time which stat I wanted to go for. His good stats are HP, speed, and res. And back when I was originally building him, we didn't have access to things like Sabotage 4, so that wasn't really something I was keeping in mind. And res has kind of gotten a lot more support lately and a lot more units that have higher res. So that most certainly is an option for us to lean into, but he only gets 2 off of that, and more of the skills that I'm going to give him are stacking his HP instead. However, I think the general use for him is actually to go into his speed. And again, this is kind of just up for preference, but I want him to be able to survive hits, and speed will help him with that. And even though his weapon also kind of values his res, giving him a res asset only improves his weapon very slightly. And even if you res refine and give him the res stat boost, that still doesn't make a massive increase. So I think being able to survive hits better or potentially clean up an enemy by doubling them is just a little more useful. But again, this is very flexible and you could definitely just take HP or res on him instead. So we're going to just go ahead and bump up his speed. That actually took a lot more to commit to than you would expect, honestly. I spent a long time debating the pros and cons of that. Another small treat for the boy is we're going to give him the gold heart charm because he's got a heart of gold. And honestly, because there aren't a lot of accessories that I think look really good with him, but I think that one looks kind of cute. For his ally support, we are going to go with Klein. There wasn't a huge preference for this. Klein just doesn't have an ally support currently, and he is a more offense-oriented unit, so he can take advantage of Nils dancing him to allow him to attack multiple times, so at least that one kind of makes sense. They're also both from the Game Boy Advance games, so that's on brand, I guess. And finally, we have to inherit his skills. I did consider trying to get him Arcane Grima, but it was quite an investment for a unit that I was going mostly into support. So we didn't end up doing that, but that is an actually really solid option for him. Maybe one day in the future, but honestly, he can only get one thing from Grima, so I don't think it's super worthwhile for a unit that won't be seeing a ton of combat. And unfortunately, there aren't any really good inheritable dragon weapons either, so we're just going to stick with his default weapon, but we still have plenty of other skills that we can grab for him. Since he is a dancer, he also doesn't need an assist skill, so we're just going to start by grabbing him a special, and we're going to grab Aether for arena scoring in case we want to use him there. This is my last Aether. Very sad, but he deserves it. However, for more general use, we're also going to go ahead and grab the res-based specials. He has really high res that he can take advantage of, So since he won't see a ton of combat, being able to fire off a strong but lower cost special isn't a bad thing to have as an option. We'll also go ahead and grab Glacies just to finish off both of the res-based options. While Nils has a lot more attack than earlier dancers, his attack still isn't stellar, so having Triangle Adept to help him potentially score some key kills also wouldn't be terrible. So we'll go ahead and grab Triangle Adept so he can just potentially improve his blue matchups. Wings of Mercy, just always nice to have on your dancers. We'll also go ahead and grab Darting Blow, not super important, but we can use that to pick up something else down the line. From Void, we're just going to grab Infantry Pulse 1 and 2. We only need level 2 so we can save some feathers there. Instead, we'll get Infantry Pulse 3 from Helbindi alongside Green Duel 1 through 3. There we go. And from Pent, we will grab Green Duel Infantry 4. And Time Pulse and Lull Attack Res are both pretty good options for a more combat-focused Nils. He doesn't really need either of these, though I think Time's Pulse is the more premium option, so we'll go ahead and grab that. I think Lull Attack Res might actually be slightly more useful for him, but Time's Pulse is just expensive. And Pent cost me like 200 orbs. This was very expensive, so not really necessary fodder for him, but we're going to grab it. There we go. Very premium boy. Just a few more things now. We're going to grab Sudden Panic 3 from Garrick, and we're going to grab Darting Blow 4 as a toss-in. He probably won't honestly ever need it, but, you know, it's nice to have. We'll grab Even Pulse Tie from Kurthnaga. And finally, to round out the build, we're going to grab Stall Ploy from Pirate Naysala. There are a lot of other skills we could be grabbing, things like Sabotages, Drives, Ploys, chill skills, lots of other options, even more combat-focused skills like Lulls or Dragon Wall, but this is a pretty good selection of skills for a more support-oriented set. So now, real quick, we just need to go ahead and refine his weapon and learn his skills. Again, for his weapon, it does utilize his res to reduce damage. However, even with a res refine, it only reduces, I think, 1 more point of damage. And with a res refine and a res asset, it would only reduce 2 more points of damage, up to, I think, 10 from 8 points at base. So it's really not worth going full in on the res, in my opinion, and I think the speed helps him out more overall. So we're going to speed refine his weapon. However, we are also going to just pick up the res refine just in case. Doesn't hurt to have it as an option. And now we're just going to learn all these tricks, and we will return when he is ready for his build. Oops, I almost forgot to give him a blessing. We're going to give him an Astra blessing because it's pretty and looks like candy. All his skills are learned and we are ready to build him up. And he is only going to have one main build, but we can easily swap out a few skills to change it to suit the situation. However, we could also do a secondary build suited for Pawns of Loki specifically, since we are building him around a lot of HP boosting skills. So he could use those to score pretty decently in Pawns of Loki, maybe not as high as some other units since we didn't go full in on his HP, but he would still score better than a lot of units while still being able to provide some support. So that might be something we do as well. But first, we are going to stick with his native Surprise Breath. Again, Arcane Grima would probably be stronger, especially if you're going for more of a combat-oriented dancer, but that is a lot of investment for someone who won't really see a ton of combat. So I decided to just stick with his base weapon. It's still pretty strong for an inheritable. It does give him a little bit of extra damage reduction to give him some survivability, in addition to some extra attack and res to hit a little harder and survive a little better as well. Overall, pretty decent considering the fact that there aren't any inheritable support-based breath weapons, unfortunately. We are going with a speed-based version to help him survive doubles. However, if you really wanted an extra point of damage reduction, he could take the Res Refine, but I don't think that 1 point is worth giving up that chance to avoid doubles. And of course, as a dancer, we definitely want to take his play skill, just help refresh allies. That is, of course, the main reason we're building him. And for his special, really kind of depends. All of these are fine. He has high enough res that he can definitely take advantage of Iceberg or Glacies. Aether is what I'm going to go with just because for Arena, it scores okay. But otherwise, Iceberg could definitely be a fine substitute. For his A slot, we are going to take Green Dual Infantry. It does allow him to work in Arena, and it also boosts his stats across the board by a very small margin, but stats are stats. And again, he doesn't really need to be seeing a ton of combat. Otherwise, he could take Triangle Adept to double down on his matchups against blue units. And Darting Blow, I guess, could give him speed, but mostly that was just because I didn't want to waste Darting Blow 4 when I was getting Sudden Panic. But Green Dual Infantry 4 is definitely a luxury pick. If you're just going for a budget build and not planning to use him in Arena, then you could definitely just sub in like HP plus 5, or even HP speed or HP res. Those are definitely acceptable alternative options. But I really like looking at his stat line with the Green Dual Infantry up. Like, look at this. This is hilarious. He is but a boy, but he has so much bulk. Why? To prevent anyone from interrupting him while he eats his icy cream. Duh. So, anyway, for his B slot options, he can, of course, take Wings of Mercy. That is the old standard for dancers. Helps him rush in and dance a unit that is low HP so that they can either retreat or follow up and take out more enemies. Always a good skill to have. However, for Nils specifically, we do also have access to these skills that leverage his high HP, like even Pulse Tie or Sudden Panic. However, if you want a more buff-oriented build, you could run some of the dance skills. However, at the moment, I don't think they're really worth running unless you get the updated Dance 3 skills, maybe in the future. But for Nils himself, I really like the idea of just having him stand there and cause problems for the enemy just by existing. So even Pulse Tie or Sudden Panic are the preferred options in my case. I'm going to go with even Pulse Tie because he does have the option to get Panic from other sources, but this is still a good option to have on hand for certain maps. Pulse Tie is good. It shuts down all the nonsense pre-charge specials that are running around lately, and most of the units that will have access to those will lose the HP check to him even without going fully invested in his HP, so I think it's a solid option for him. For his C slot, we are going to take Stall Ploy on this. Again, it leverages his HP and it prevents things like Legendary Sigurd from rushing you down. However, he can also run something like Infantry Pulse to help his own allies charge their specials faster. He could also run Times Pulse if you're running a more offense-oriented build, but again, I think that he's better off just sticking more to a support role. In fact, another option, speaking of Panic over here with Sudden Panic, he could also run Panic Ploy, which is something I probably should have given him, but I didn't really think of it at the time because he does have the Panic Ploy seal as an option, but running it in his C does allow him to stack his HP further. For now though, I really like the idea of just running Stall Ploy. It is a bit more situational than some of the other things like Infantry Pulse or Panic Ploy, but when it does work, it is something that is nice to have. And with his high res, he can also run things like ploy skills or sabotages are also options, but I wanted to lean more into his solid HP. And for his seal, we can stack that HP even further with one of the various HP boosting skills. Gets him up to a pretty solid 64. Or you can take any manner of other buffs or debuffs, really anything that's supporting drives, ploys, or As I mentioned, Panic Ploy is another option, and we're going to go with Panic Ploy, just fully lean into that HP niche, but there are plenty of other support-based options that he can choose. Eventually, if we ever get Sudden Panic as a seal, I think that would be a slight upgrade to Panic Ploy, but as it is, this gives him quite a lot of utility, all wrapped up into one adorable package. And for the Pawns of Loki build, it'll look pretty much the exact same, just running Aether I think is a little more important on this to give him more survivability and keep his HP up, since the score does depend on you having more HP than the opponent. In fact, running something like Soul or Noontime might even be preferable, but for now we'll go with Aether. Then, once again, the Green Dual Infantry to stack his HP and give him a little bit of extra stats. However, in Pawns of Loki, I think Sudden Panic would be a bit more preferable to even Pulse Tie. And Stall Ploy is not going to do much in that mode, so Infantry Pulse would be better. Or, again, if we got Panic Ploy in his C, then we could maybe afford to take something else, like even Pulse Tie in his B slot. But for now, we'll take Sudden Panic. And I guess we'll take Infantry Pulse so that he could support his teammates. Even something like Attack Smoke could also be helpful for Pawns of Loki. And then finally, we are just going to load up his HP a little bit more and let him score really high in that mode. So both the builds end up looking pretty similar, both very support-oriented, stacking his HP and then leveraging that to kind of disrupt the opponent, hence the name, the Disrupt Dragon Dancer. But I really like how it looks on paper at least. Just a supportive boy who causes some mischief for his enemies. For teammates on this showcase, we're going to bring Klein, who again is our S support partner, and he, while not the strongest unit offensively, does appreciate getting to be danced so that he can attack multiple times and potentially be able to get out of danger. We will also bring Spring Ash, who similarly appreciates being able to attack multiple times, however, probably even more so since he can drop debuffs on the foe with Dagger 7 and then actually capitalize off of those with his attack speed catch. And then finally, I think we'll go ahead and bring Ninja Korin, who is already attacking multiple times with Gale Force, and this just gives him another round to attack, potentially get out of danger, or even help charge up Gale Force if he didn't manage to get it up on the first initiation. Alright, we are here in Arena Assault to test our boy's basic build out, and shouldn't be too difficult since we have a pretty offense-oriented team here. However, we have a Gustav with near save, so Korin will have a bit of an issue there, and Brave Hector not as a save unit, which is pretty surprising. Instead, Aiden is the far saver. Still shouldn't be too big of an issue. We do outspeed her, and she doesn't counterattack. I'm not sure what this build is. I don't know if they realize that she cannot counterattack, but that's fine, I guess. Ash or Korin, if we can get rid of Gustav, will be able to take care of her. And then finally, Byleth, as long as we can initiate on him, shouldn't be an issue. And with his higher movement, he should break off from at least one of the save units. And we're going to have Nils hit Hector with Stall Ploy, which should slow down the armor march. In fact, actually more than Hector, we want to hit Aiden with it. So that she doesn't move up towards Byleth. And they'll also be getting affected by our Sudden Panic. And I think Byleth will also get hit by Pulse Tie, which will turn off Sublime Heaven. Not that that will be too important here, because we are trying to take him out before he can actually use it, but just in the worst case scenario, that's not bad to have. So, yeah, we've got our ploy on Iden, so she'll be slowed down a bit, and we should be able to have Byleth move down, and then we'll be able to take him out. Nope, never mind. They still moved in a kind of annoying way. Yeah, we can't attack, but we can play it a little slowly and try and get them to break off. Alright, so now Gustav is out of the way, so we can have Corin attack into Byleth. Not doing a ton of damage, unfortunately, because of our weapon triangle disadvantage, but we can move Ashe in, which I should have done already, to debuff with Speed Def Rain. Now we'll have Corin get danced by Nils, and then now Corin can finish off Byleth, trigger Gale Force, and we can attack into Iden, but we can't finish her off, so we will... Yeah, let's just play it safe, not let her have a chance to initiate on us. And now we want to take out Iden before Gustav can catch back up with the other armors. Hanging in there, trigger our Gale Force once again. Down she goes. Alright, now we do have the luxury of starting to chip at Gustav, and we can make sure that Ashe gets pulled back to safety. And now we'll just pull back to safety, and we can dance. Can't take out Gustav, but we could just have Nils move in to tank Hector. Yeah, no issues there. So we will just tank Hector. Bam, down he goes, 49. A very fortunate number. Don't want to do that. Almost got a little overexcited there. Cannot finish Gustav off, so we will just once again play it safe. We'll move down, let Hector attack into us. Yeah, Nils not the most combat-oriented unit, but he can still hold his own against some of the more enemy phase focused threats, so that is nice to keep in mind. And now we can have Ashe move in and finish off Gustav. No issues, down he goes. Good job, team. So for a very quick showcase, that didn't go too badly. We actually did manage to get all of our effects off and have them all be relevant. And he did some tanking too. His dance support let us play a little more aggressive. Overall, pretty pleased with that. Again, he doesn't really have to do everything himself since he's not an offensive unit. And he still put in a lot of good work. So next, let's go ahead and see his Pawns of Loki support build. So here we are in Pawns of Loki to test out our secondary build. However, being upfront with you guys, I'm not especially good at this mode, so I will probably not play even close to optimally, but we will try and see what we can do. Real quick, it would take a while to go through everyone's build here, so we'll just kind of gloss over them. I'll just kind of hover over it, but I just picked units with high HP from both my list and my friend's list. So definitely not the most optimal units that we could be bringing for combat, but hopefully they will score decently. So let's just try and go in and see what we've got. Alright, we don't start with the boy, but here he is right off the bat. We also have Professor Byleth early on, but we'll start with grabbing Nils. We'll let him go for it. And we're just gonna quickly go through here. Yeah, he's taking them on. Though, again, Nils is not especially built for combat. So let's round out our color coverage and grab our dear professor. As always, he responds to my call and appears before us when we need him. And we'll grab a second Nils to spend the rest of our points and work towards getting him merged up so that he can help us a little more. And down they go. No issues yet, but this will probably spiral out of control very rapidly. Again, I'm not a expert at this mode by any means, and I could merge Byleth again, but I think we probably just want to get some more HP on our side of the map. So for now, we'll just grab a second Lucas. Maybe even I should have held off on merging Nils this early on, but there they go, there they go. Hang in there, guys. There you go. So far, so good, but we are still less than halfway through this. And yeah, we should probably diversify a little bit. Nils can probably take on Naui, but Veronica back there is a little spooky. Actually, we'll move Byleth there. Should we unleash the power of the Demon Altena upon our enemies? I mean, it beats having to deal with her myself, right? And, well, Muspel might actually shred Lucas. Maybe we should swap Altena with him. And then let's grab Virion for some HP. And then let them go. Yeah, I'm not super knowledgeable about this mode, but maybe I stacked my setup with too many support units. I'm not sure. Maybe I shouldn't have brought so many HP-based support units because they might overlap too much with Nils. I'm not sure. Pawns of Loki experts, let us know. Hang in there, Professor. There you go. And there we go. Wasn't a perfect sweep, but we are still hanging in there. Alright, so our units are still too low level to get any save skills. So I think we want to grab some professors, and we'll grab another Nils, and I think we should just save our points because these this Robin and Hector are going to be too low level to do a whole lot right now. But we can swap Nils up to deal with Chloe and Dimitri and Aranis, and then Demon Altena should be fine to handle Lucia. And I think we're still better off leaving Professor Byleth to deal with Aiden rather than trying to use Lucas because of his low res. So I think we will go ahead and go with this lineup. That's a lot of debuffs. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff going around all at once. Not sure what exactly is happening, but boy, the enemy team looks crippled, so that's a good thing. A lot of chaos. Alright, Demon Altena is defeated by the Fell Dragon, unfortunately. Oh, and she took out Professor Byleth. That's no good. Oh no, and Nils! Yeah, see, this is where things start to get a bit more difficult. Lucas, why would you attack there? Why would you attack the res-based unit? Like, sometimes the AI is just silly. Alright, so let's merge up Lucas again, get some more stats on him. We still aren't getting anything off Robin, so I think... I think we want Brunya because she'll combo pretty well with Nils dropping panic on the enemy. So that'll be helpful. We'll swap Byleth over to deal with Edelgard. And then Demon Altena can go there. And Lucas can wall off Alir. There we go, that looks... okay, move Brunya over as well. That looks acceptable, I think. Ooh, wow. Okay, that did a lot more to Lucas than I was expecting. Oh no, and there goes a Nils. And she Gale Forced. Rip, Professor. Yeah, now they're kind of just stomping us. That's no good. Unfortunately, Nils cannot just dance Brunya. That would have been helpful, but that round we got totally steamrolled. Unfortunately. Let's go ahead and get a merge on our dear Professor. And I guess we'll grab these to potentially merge up. Yeah, let's merge Lucas and then get a second Altena in here. Now Lucas's res is looking pretty respectable. But we only have one red, which is a little unfortunate. So I think we'll go with this. Alright, and let's go. Get him, Professor. Yeah, Lucas is holding up a lot better now that he's got some merges and has some res. But our units are still getting pretty beat up. Ooh, down Nils goes. Poor boy. And the Professor too, no! Well, that did not go well, but now we get extra funds, which is helpful at least. Unfortunately, I don't think any of these units here are super helpful. Let's see, we'll grab another Brunya. We'll merge her up. Now she's a lot better off. I think we want Fallen Edelgard. Unfortunately, those funds didn't buy us a whole lot. We can finish merging, or we can get another merge for Altena at least, and bring in Edelgard. Hardly ideal, but... now we've got something at least. Alright, go get him, guys. Try not to lose too hard. Unfortunately, we aren't seeing any more merges for Nils, which would really help to bump up his HP. 'Cause even with how high we stacked his HP, some of the enemies are still outpacing him just because we haven't been able to get merges on him. Down goes Aiden. Maybe it would have been better to frontline with Edelgard. Well, we lost that round as well, but it was a little closer at least. There's Garen. He's usually a pretty solid pick for this. Let's go ahead and merge Altena again. Having a second Byleth wouldn't even be bad, honestly. I think Virion is doing a bit less for us, so let's bench him. Actually, let's just refund him, merge Byleth, and then bring in Papa Garen. Unfortunately, though, we couldn't afford that last merge for Nils, but he's still doing some support. He's outpacing he's outpacing everyone in terms of HP on this round, so it's not as important. And let's see. I think that looks acceptable. Alright, go get him, guys. Ugh, that's so many stats flying around, I can't even keep up with it all. Get him, Professor. Just keep slamming into him. Yeah, I did swap Byleth to a Gale Force set for this particular thing. So, unfortunately, he is not as good on enemy phase. And unfortunately, also, Nils cannot dance our units, which would have helped a lot if he could dance on this, because he's not really geared for combat. But we still did end up winning that last round, and got a decent number of points. That's actually about what I normally score in this mode. So overall, not too shabby. It would have been nice if we had seen a few more Nils pop up that we could have grabbed merges for earlier on, but ended up helping a decent bit, I think. And he seemed to pair pretty well with Brunya. I'd imagine if we had had Plagueon Chris as one of the units that we selected, he also would have paired really well with Nils. So overall, pretty decent for someone who does not understand this mode too well. So that is our showcase for Nils. Overall, pretty pleased with him. Of course, he is a refresher, so he has a lot of utility just off of that, but he was also doing pretty solid support in all the other ways with his various other skills. So for my first dancer, I'm pretty pleased with him and really excited to have a bit more utility as an option for my teams. And I do think he held up pretty decently in Pawns of Loki, so pretty pleased with that as well. Overall, I'm excited to finally have my first +10 dancer, and I'm excited that it is a good boy and my favorite character from Blazing Blade. So overall, a very worthy investment and well worth the wait. Anyway, thank you guys as always for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this, and hope you enjoyed the extra little Pawns of Loki bonus. And until next time, this is Hoodie Angel Brandon and the good boy Nils, signing out.